Dear devotees, today I'll be answering some questions that have been posted to our YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody who sent in the questions. So we're going to start with an argumentative question, which are often the most interesting. So it's a fairly long question. I'm just going to paraphrase. Manuel is questioning that in a previous lecture I said it's namaparad, it's a spiritual transgression to think of one name of God being bigger, better, or more important than another name of God. And he's arguing, giving some quotations from Brahma Samhita, Gita, and Bhagavatam that Krishna is bigger than God Shiva. Krishna is more important than Shivji. These quotations are real quotations, of course, and they indicate that Shri Krishna includes the form of Shivji in himself, which means that he himself has become Bhagwan Shiv. He himself is Shivji. So both can be true at the same time, that Shri Krishna is Parat Par Brahma. Shri Krishna is Purnatam Purushottam Brahm. He is the absolute supreme form of God who includes all other forms of God within him, and he himself has become. He is Swayam Bhagwan, meaning supreme God himself, and he becomes all the other forms of Bhagwan. Just because they look different in appearance than Shri Krishna and behave differently as far as how they reveal their personality and their divine powers, nonetheless, they are none other than Shri Krishna. So to think of a form of God as being different, even that is namaparad. That's a transgression against Shri Krishna to think that Shivji is smaller or less important. Shri Krishna himself is Shivji. And on top of that, Shivji is the greatest bhakt of Shri Krishna. Nimnaganam yatha Ganga, Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. He is the greatest Vaishnava. Shivji is the greatest devotee of Shri Krishna, and Shri Krishna considers his devotees to be greater than himself. So even if you look at it from that perspective, disrespect to God Shiva would make Shri Krishna extremely unhappy. So this is the philosophy behind this, how we have to understand it, that while it is true that Shri Krishna is absolute supreme God, nonetheless, to think that his other forms are less than him is an insult to him, and it's a grave spiritual transgression. To think that any of his other names are less important is a spiritual transgression. So both can be true at the same time, that Shri Krishna is supreme, but that all his forms are himself. Therefore, internally, they are one and the same and equal, and all of his names are absolutely blissful. All of his names are the very form of himself. So to differentiate in that way, thinking that one is bigger and better or more important than another, that has to be avoided, even though we understand that he himself gives the supreme form of divine bliss. That is true, but that doesn't mean his other forms are less. This is one of the main reasons that Jagadguru Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj did not promote the idea of sampradaya. Sampradaya means a lineage. From this guru to this guru to this guru to this guru on to the present day. People always ask, oh, what sampradaya do you belong to? Because they feel that that gives some authenticity to the teachings. So there are even within the devotees of Shri Krishna, there are different sampradaya. There is Nimbarka Acharya's sampradaya, Haridas Ji's sampradaya, Hita Harivansh's sampradaya, Gaudiya sampradaya, Madhvacharya's sampradaya. And the followers of these sampradaya up until today, now that those true divine saints whose teachings established that sampradaya or took that sampradaya further forward, nowadays the followers quite often use that as a basis for trying to feel superior to other sampradayas. So that's what's inherent, that's what's inherently wrong with this question, is that the one posing the question has a feeling of self-superiority, that Vaishnavas are greater than Shaivites. Someone who's worshipping Shri Krishna is correct, and someone who's worshipping Bhagwan Shiv is ignorant. This is what's hidden behind this question, and this is exactly why ShriMaharajJi did not promote the idea of sampradaya, because it just promotes more and more of this feeling of self-superiority, which is the exact opposite of devotion. We have to be humble. So we give full respect to all of Shri Krishna's forms and all the devotees of all of Shri Krishna's forms, knowing that many of those devotees may be much greater than we are. That's how we have to assume. So to simplify all of this, ShriMaharajJi did two things. Number one, he himself didn't take any guru. People question why Maharajji didn't take a guru. So he wouldn't have to say, I belong to this sampradaya or that sampradaya. No sampradaya. I'm from Shri Krishna's sampradaya. That's the second thing he did. He simplified. He said, Kathopanishad has already told us, Tayoh Shreya Adadanasya Sadhu Bhavati Hiyaterthadya Upreyo Vrinite. There are only two options of how to live your life. You can seek happiness from Supreme God, or you can seek happiness from Maya. Those who seek happiness from Supreme God are following the path of Preya. the path of Shreya. The path that leads to ultimate happiness. And those who follow the path of seeking happiness from Maya, they're following the path of Preya. So Shreya takes you to God, and Preya keeps you in Maya. There's no other third path. Either you're going towards God, or you're getting more attached in Maya. All of the various divine sampradayas originated from Supreme God anyway. Whether it be from Shri Krishna or from Brahma or any other divine personality, they all come from Supreme God. So when all the sampradayas trace back to God originally, why not just say, I belong to God's sampradaya? We all come from the same place. I belong to Shri Krishna's sampradaya. And those who aren't following the path to God or following the Mayic sampradaya, two sampradayas. So now all those spiritual, religious people who are trying to follow a path to God, they don't have to quibble and quarrel with each other that, oh, why are you worshiping that form of God? And why are you worshiping in this way? That's right, that's wrong. This is what happens between various sampradayas many times. So to avoid this whole damaging situation that spoils the devotion of the true devotees if they get caught up in that type of unnecessary arguing and feelings of self-superiority, Maharajji wiped the whole thing clean. He said, don't worry about what sampradaya you belong to, as long as you belong to God's sampradaya. That's it. So this was a very thought-provoking